Gaming 5. Welcome to tonight's ALTTP Randomizer daily race. We have hybrid major glitches today. I'm joined by Professor Render. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I wanted to calm this one for some reason. I just wanted to do it.
Is it because it's the best mode?
I mean, no logic is.
You're a no logic fan.
Well, yeah.
See, if I liked no logic more, I'd run a tournament of it, which I'm doing. I'm doing it for you. But my heart says HNG, and that's why I'm here tonight. So you might be wondering what this is. This is a glitched mode. It's a logic that requires certain out-of-bounds clips in the underworld and the overworld. Most of the clips that are really hard or really slow are not required, but they're still allowed to do them. And there's a whole subset of major glitches that we're not allowed to do. And you'll be seeing those in no logic, but not in this mode. So we'll save that for next week when we start the no logic tournament.
Oh crap! Yeah, signups signups are closing on Friday. So
yeah, hit them in. Learn no logic. You got 4 days. Let's go. So we have Zeke Highwind and Mr. Beyer. They're actually the only people in this race. So this is a true 1v1. You get to have the experience of a tournament race without it actually being a tournament race. I respect Zeke playing as one of the evolutions, because playing as a non-standard Link sprite can be rather difficult, but he seems to know what he's doing.
Just waiting for Mr. Beyer to ready up so that we can get this going.
Yeah, he's just got a little bit of setup to do, but that's okay. We got plenty to talk about. So this is, other than being glitch mode, this is a normal 7-7 open seed, requiring Aga Tower, not Aga Tower, Ganon's Tower. But because it's a glitch mode and you can get in there with a clip, you don't necessarily do that at the end. You do it whenever you feel like it.
Yeah, it's very simple, and when we get to no logic, you'll see that there's other ways of getting over to Ganon's Tower. But yeah, we'll wait till next week until we get that started.
Yeah, this is, I mean, once you get used to the out-of-bounds clips, it's pretty straightforward. The logic can get really complicated, though, which is why I like this mode in particular. You have a lot of really fun logic to talk about, and we'll go into that when we get into dungeons. For now, we are beginning our race very soon.
Yeah, I just sent them off, so we'll be seeing so we'll see the race start in just a few. I'm hoping for a moon pearl that isn't boring as all get out.
No Eastern Palace moon pearls, please. And no pendant swamps. Hybrid major glitches without swamp is like, what's the point?
Yeah, it's just the regular overworld glitches at that point.
And we are off. Mr. Beyer opening Link's chest for a heart piece. Zeke very bravely playing with the palette shuffler. Yeah, the palette shuffler these days isn't so bad, actually. You can see what you're doing. Zeke is also an Uncle Router, which is really rare in glitch modes. It's almost an anti-meta play to do this. A lot of glitch runners will wait for the mirror to do this with the pyramid. But Zeke will do this because he knows other runners aren't doing it. So if he gets something like the mirror here, he can be at a pretty significant advantage. Mr. Beyer, meanwhile, showing the power of glitches. You can just go straight into the water at the hobo, and you get a fake flipper at the bridge by clipping through that railing.
Yeah, what happened was that Mr. Beyer actually ended up doing something called a boots clip, which for some reason the game has trouble doing. For some reason, the diagonals slopes that you see around Hyrule aren't really programmed all that well. Yeah,
the Super Nintendo has to do a lot of like backflips to make diagonals even work, so we take advantage of that. The jank inherent in coding diagonals in a Super Nintendo game. When we get into no logic, we'll really get a real appreciation for how amazing it is that when you play this game normally, you don't run into these glitches. Because you can actually break this if you know what you're doing pretty thoroughly. But when you play normally, this sort of thing doesn't happen.
Yeah, and this is just evident by the fact that we are playing on like the earliest version of Link to the Past, and you probably know this from seeing stuff like fake flippers and all that, and that's because we're playing on the Japanese 1.0 version of the game.
Yeah, spin speed and fake flippers are like the big ones that you can't do in US version, but actually most of these out of bounds clips can be done. In US, you wouldn't be able to use spin speed clipping because spin speed does put you in a clipping state, but you can still dash buffer, which is basically just slamming a direction and A at the same time over and over again, which gets you into a wall. Zeke is showing off his like no glitches standard start skills by doing a bomb escape, taking advantage of the tree pole he got.
It's also nice considering that Mr. Bayer found that there is a bomb drop off of the hoarder.
I disagree with that bomb not hitting the guard there. What is this? Oh, okay, nothing on Lumberjack. Mr. Bayer almost didn't go high enough for us to see it, which is always a tease. I would be a little careful here, Zeke. He is now one-hit KO from a bomb. There we go. He's got the guard in the spot.
And Mr. Bayer is doing what has now become one of my favorites, Death Mountain Ascents, the Lumberjack Death Mountain Ascent, or Lumberjack DMA for short.
I like this one because it takes you up the mountain with the green palette of the overworld. The other one takes you into Old Man Cave, so you don't get that transition. But what's cool about this one is, oh, I love this. He is actually taking advantage of the fact that the bomb will like continue working while you're paused, and he gets a double hit on the switch, which allows him to not only escape these pegs, but also use only one bomb to make the orange pegs go down. What did Mr. Bayer get in the map chest?
Looked like it wasn't anything of note. I think it was just a heart container, heart piece.
Okay, the important thing is it wasn't a key. There was a compass in the basement cage, and something that wasn't a key in the map chest. So you might be wondering, how the heck are we supposed to climb this dungeon? The answer is not Haripot, by the way. Haripot was discovered after this logic was written. So what we're really supposed to do is clip through a diagonal wall in Misery Mire, which takes you to the Haripot room, and use a Mire key to unlock the doors in Hera. Which means that Tower of Hera is medallion locked. And also Moon Pearl locked, because we're supposed to have the Moon Pearl to get into Mire.
And yeah, it's really interesting with how this the logic in this particular mode kind of correlates, and even though it's not up to date with stuff like Haripot and all that, but it is still interesting to note that you would actually, for Hera to even be a thing, logically you would need the medallion.
Ooh.
Which Zeke has, but no.
Zeke just found the mirror. A mirror is a very good item to have early. It's not actually as required as you might be used to it being, because we don't need the mirror to do Swamp and Hybrid, but having it makes the routing so much better. So having found that in Sorcerer's Closet, it might give him a pretty good advantage over Mr. Bayer.
One of my favorite things about the mirror, though, being this early, is that you can do, which is arguably one of the more fun glitches, and that's the mirror offset.
Yeah, the problem with Zeke having mirror offset available is he already did the escape, so he is less incentivized to actually do that. Mirror offset what it'll do is it'll place a portal in the wrong part of the world, and you can use it to clip into Pyramid Fairy as basically as a bunny. Like, you can just get into your portal and it'll put you inside of Pyramid Fairy.
Yeah, it's because the fact that when you do a screen web, which is what you've been seeing with Mr. Bayer, or what you're gonna see with Mr. Bayer, I think. Oh no, he's gonna go ahead and just head down over to Graveyard Ledge here. But what happens is when you screen wrap, it actually, your global coordinate actually gets followed throughout while you're still on. You still have the collision that's currently in the area that you're in.
Yeah, it's almost like there's two of you. One of you is just climbing the mountain over and over again, or jumping off a mountain over and over again. And the other one of you is actually going down the map every time you do that. And that other one of you is what determines where that mirror portal gets placed.
Yeah, and that's why you're able to go into Pyramid Fairy, because where the mirror gets positioned is in such a way that it actually lines up perfectly with when you head into the Dark World, or at least head back into the Dark World from the mirror. You actually get placed right in the door in Pyramid Fairy while the bomb has not been, or that wall hasn't been exploded.
No, we have found a bow and a fire rod, which makes me a little bit suspicious of Pendant Eastern, because that can put Armos in logic. However, this is hybrid matrix glitches, and there is a diagonal wall in Spectacle Rock Cave that you can clip into that gets you into Pod, which makes Pod a Sphere 1 location, and makes the bow potentially a candidate for unlocking your Moon Pearl in Pod. Though I always keep an eye out for early bows in hybrid for that reason. Zeke just took a death inside the old man cave. If it wasn't obvious what he's doing, he just clipped into the old man cave. He actually has the old man, so he's fine. I almost wonder if he took that death on purpose to ensure that he dies now instead of on the mountain, where it would take longer to recover.
Yeah, it's a good thing. If that's the case, then that's actually good insight to take advantage of that checkpoint that's there.
Yeah, it didn't take that long for him to take that death there. And these dead rocks can just do that, and he got lucky here, but sometimes you don't. And he has no defense. He would have died right after rescuing the old man, which would have been fine, but if you die before, you have to do the whole cave again, at least from the middle.
Over on Mr. Byers' side, we found a sword, a glove, and the inconspicuous arrow, as I like to call it now.
Yeah, putting his arrows at an odd number, which is always funny to see at the beginning of a seed. Zeke trying to clip to Tower of Hera, doing a screen wrap, but something happened and he got soft locked. He's gonna try again, which is, you do this clip over and over again. It doesn't take that long to recover from a soft lock.
Yeah,
I think he's gonna do it from the other side now, just to I guess he's more comfortable with it.
Yeah, it's especially the case when it's easy to recover from, because since we have boots, because we actually start with boots in glitch modes, because we have seen with between these two runners at the start of the seed, it's important for various clips and stuff.
There's a lot of glitches you can do without boots, and it's really slow to do them that way and not in logic, which means that if you don't start with boots, the logic will sometimes just place the boots somewhere really dumb, and then you'll have a no glitches seed until you get boots, and that's no fun. We don't want no glitches logic for half of the seed. We want to actually play with the logic that we intend to play with. So it's almost as much to make the mode work logically as it is for the convenience of the player.
Plus the fact that Citrus clip, which is the only way you can actually clip without the boots, as far as I'm aware, and my aspect of the bunny, I personally hate it.
It's not that worse. It's just a lot of select buffering.
Yeah, that's just my opinion, though.
So we have pendants info. We got Thieves Town and Skullwoods as our normal pendants, and we have green pendant at Eastern. I'm surprised to see Mr. Buyer clipped to that 50 rupees and bailed. And I think what happened was he was trying to clip directly to it, because 50 rupees is kind of nice to have, but it's not worth walking all the way around. Oh, I love that. Zeke showing us this sign on the land bridge. This is a randomizer inclusion, and if you were paying attention, you would see that the glitch tournament winners are on that sign. We actually will be adding to that sign not too long from now.
Yes, our no logic tournament is starting up too. And another fun fact is that, with it being a randomizer edition, if you were to clip in there while you're in no glitches mode, it just says what are you doing up here?
Which makes sense, because you're not supposed to be there in no glitches. I didn't even know that. I haven't played no glitches in so long.
Yeah, it's something. I thought it was interesting as well. I think that was shown off in one of the major tournaments, main tournaments. Time pack.
It might have been Dante in one of the tournament reveal streams. I know he did some overall glitches to show off.
later. It was earlier than that. It wasn't the dainty one. I'm pretty sure it was. I know it was. I think the 2019 tournament or something like that, or was it League? I don't know.
No, that predates my time in glitch nodes.
I think what happened was.
At all.
I think what happened was something had happened to one of the runners, and out of just he was gonna forfeit out anyway. So what happened was, I think he's decided that this one runner decided to just do glitch modes.
Makes sense. I've seen people do that in the speed run. If their run is dead, they'll just like skip. Like if they die on Trinex, they'll just clip to Ganon's Tower so they can get the practice in, even if it's not a valid run. I see a lamp on Mr. Byer's side on the mountain. That's another pointer towards Pod and Eastern. I'm very suspicious of Pearl and Pod now, seeing these items that we're getting. But there's still plenty. I mean, nobody's been to Kakariko Village yet. Let's be real here. There's still a lot of game left before we start calling Dark World Moon Pearls.
Right. Yeah. And this is actually the good thing is that we know that we don't need to kill Aga just because with Mr. Byer checking the lumberjack ledge and knowing there wasn't anything of note, Aga was already dead from the start.
Aga is dead until Moon Pearl's on Pyramid Ledge, but with that mirror in hand in Zeke's side, Pyramid Ledge is very accessible with an offset portal. So you're absolutely correct. Aghanim is just completely dead. Not even logically required. Even if we didn't have the mirror, there are ways to get there without killing a wizard. Mr. Byer is showing some routing. You can get to Eastern from here. I think he wants to check Saha and maybe do Eastern, but he hasn't looked at his map yet, so he doesn't know it's dependent.
I believe he actually did see the map from the. I think he did see the map. I guess it was just pretty quick. So I believe Mr. Byer has the information.
Okay.
So he does pick up Mirror here.
Yeah, he's going. Eastern Palace. I mean, this is... I don't know if I would be doing this over Pod into Eastern. Because you can clip to Pod and then check Pod and then do Eastern from there. If he knows that Pod's a crystal, he can at least go in there looking for the big key. And then if he doesn't find the Moon Pearl there, he can go to Eastern. But he's here now, so it doesn't really save that much time to route it with Pod. Alright, we finally see the big play towards Kakariko Village on Zeke's side. You know it's a glitch mode when people are taking longer to get to Cat than you would in a standard start.
Yeah, and we actually, one thing when we were talking the Dark World to access, was that you might have noticed that we never really specifically mentioned the 5-6 crystals, because with this mode in particular, you don't really care about 5-6 crystals.
It used to be you might have to think about them because of the mirror. If you don't get the mirror, you have to actually do it. A very recent discovery was made that you can just swim there. That's right, you can swim to Pyramid Ferry. Which is funny because we usually walk to Waterfall Ferry in this mode using a water walk, and we swim to Pyramid Ferry using a swim clip. So it's backwards. Yeah, I like much more often swimming in Pyramid Ferry than Waterfall Ferry these days. So even
you go.
Yeah, even with mirror, it's still, if you have the Moon Pearl, usually faster to use the swim clip than it is to set up a portal. The portal setup is pretty slow.
Yeah, the funny thing about it is that it's like there's like numerous. I think from what I can gather, like numerous names for this particular swim clip.
Yeah, there are. Swim EG is a one people like to say because it's like EG, but not really. Because if you do it in the Underworld, you actually do go into EG. That is banned in this mode. Another name is Tam Swam because Tam discovered a particular method for it, but I just like to call it swim clipping because it's really obvious what it means when you say that. You're clipping through a wall in a swimming state using, you'll never guess it, diagonal wall jank to get this clipping state.
Did we mention that diagonal walls in this game are very broken?
They are very broken. They're like, I mean, it's amazing that they work at all. And if you ever go out of bounds and start jumping off collision there, you'll go like, sometimes you'll go really far, you'll like jump the wrong way, and it's very clear how thoroughly they tested the inbounds collision. Because as soon as you leave inbounds, it gets really jank. Which is another, like, I don't know, it impresses me about the developers. Like, you can see how much work they put into this game by how well it works when you're playing normally.
Yeah, it's just when you're kind of like being the more technical of the bunch, is that you don't realize that it's just a miracle that it works.
It's a true don't look at the man behind the curtain situation.
Right.
But it's a very impressive curtain. Alright, we got Mr. Byer going to the back of Eastern. And Zeke doing Kakariko. I actually found a flute. Did he activate it?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, you can't... People like to make fun of the flute, but it's actually a good item. Even though you don't need it to get to Meyer. Getting around is still faster, usually, with the flute than without it.
Yeah, it's very much a convenience item in this and glitch modes in particular, just for that reason.
Zeke is armed to the teeth going into Desert. He actually has everything he needs to clear this dungeon. The thing he's missing right now is magic. He needs enough to light the torches, which he can get because he has lamp. But he really wants to get enough to use his fire rod on Lanmo as well, because that's going to speed up the fight considerably. And we also probably point out he doesn't have a glove. Mr. Byer does, but Zeke can still do Lanmo. He just has to do it last, because once he clips into that rock area, he won't be able to get out again.
Right. Even with the flutes, like, you would have to just you could actually, yeah, you would have to just, if you were gonna do anything else, you would probably use the flutes in that case. So
you can flute to 6. He got that silver arrows. That's really good, because now you can just kill Lanmo and not have to worry about magic.
And Mr. Byer finds the red mail off of the green pendants. Always nice to have early on.
On red mail? Zeke is on green mail.
Right, yeah.
He's going back up. I know what he's doing. He's going back to the potion shop because potion shop sells blue potions, and we like blue potions. Oh, no, he's not. He's going to Zora. What is this route?
So Zeke actually is actually on blue mail. It's just not updated on the tracker yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's
in the
that's
Leafeon sprite. It's really hard to see.
Yeah, it's the shiny Leafeon. If I'm remembering my shiny.
I've never played Pokemon. I don't know that's not the normal colored Leafeon. Okay, I guess Mr. Byer has a bone to pick with Zora and actually just wants to pick up this item because he didn't have the money last time he was here. Zora can really haunt you if you go there too early. I mean, you can make Waterfall your 4th check in the game. And you will probably have 0 rupees going here, so it's really easy to just orphan this check completely. And meanwhile, he didn't find anything in Eastern, so he has to start thinking about either Kakariko or Pod, I think. Oh, Kanasamar could come into play. I mean, Turtle Rock is accessible with this equipment set.
Yeah. Once we see that once we come up to next week, right? There's a reason why I call it the glitch stick.
Yeah, Kane's glitchy. Less so in this mode. Most of the glitches you'll see with Kane are ones you're familiar with. Icebreaker, Diver Down, that kind of thing. In No Logic, it's very different, but we'll worry about that next week. This week, we have a mirror, and you can use the mirror to clip into the middle of Turtle Rock from Death Mountain. And you can actually use the mirror to get to Death Mountain East as well, in the Dark World. That is a hard lock for Mr. Byer. Good thing he saved and quit. But anyway, because it's in Logic to get to Turtle Rock with the mirror alone, anything you have that opens up inside of Turtle Rock could potentially be a Moon Pearl location, which means that he could go all the way to literally anything except Trinix right now can have the Moon Pearl. I didn't really explain what this hard lock means, because it doesn't really happen in normal seeds, but if you hit transitions wrong out of bounds, you can just get into an infinite scroll state that you have to hard reset out of. It's fine because Mr. Byard didn't have any progress to lose, but if you do, then you lose all that progress.
Yeah, from what, if I remember this right, if you hit the wrong side of a transition, the game just simply doesn't know where to put you, so it will just constantly try to find a valid spot for it, and it just can't, so it just will constantly scroll lock you.
I like to see what Mr. Byard's doing. He's actually using a different method to get off the mountain. The first method he did hard locked him because he didn't do the inputs right afterward. So now he's using a safer method that's not even really slower. It's the method I use by default. It's just clipping into the top and holding down. It's really easy to do. And what he's doing is he's getting to his portal. Although he's going to do the escape first. So he just did a whole bunch of screen wrapping to get to the top of the castle, and he can do the escape, and once he's out of the escape, he can enter his offset mirror portal and be the first person into Pyramid Fairy.
And this is why I mentioned this is one of my personal favorites. One of my personal favorites of the of what glitches that you can do here. Second to that of the mirror wrap to Turtle Rock.
Mirror wrap to Turtle Rock we'll definitely be seeing that because they have a mirror, and it's the fastest way to get to Turtle Rock Laser Bridge. For now, though, because there's no Moon Pearl, we might actually see a mirror clip instead, which is the logical way to get inside the middle. I explained earlier, what a mirror clip is you use the mirror next to collision, and then you inch yourself into the portal a little bit and let the mirror bonk you. And then you mirror again, and then you enter the portal from the wrong side, or you're just clipped in enough of the collision that you can just hold down and clip through it. Kind of depends on where you're doing this clip.
Yeah, the more common way of the more common way is of course like Malmo mentioned, just to get into the middle of Turtle Rock, and that's because Spiral Cave is actually the Spiral Cave entrance is a pretty wide open spot for that mirror clip to work.
Yeah, what you have is this disconnect between the collision in the dark world and the light world, and there's like this railing. And in the light world, there's a ledge you can drop down, and you just mirror there basically, and then you walk into the ledge and let the mirror take you back. And when the mirror takes you back, you're in the ledge enough that you can just hold down out of it. This is one of the oldest glitches in the game. I remember reading about this in my childhood. Mirror clipping off Death Mountain to be a bunny in the dark world was like the big thing you could do. That, and of course the very banned glitch of going into the wrong layer in the underworld and walking to the Triforce, but we don't do that in Rando.
Yeah, it's even banned in no logic because it wouldn't be fun either way.
It's boring. You're just walking into the floor.
Right, and that's why the any percent category isn't really all that interesting without and no EG.
It's either really boring or it's extremely difficult to optimize. You're either miserable because you're grinding out a world record using awful one-frame clips, or you are just like showing off to friends. But the glitches used in these rule sets are, in my opinion, way more interesting. I would recommend, if you're interested in this glitch stuff, to look into the speedrunning of A Link to the Past that's not just NMG. There's a lot of speedrunning out there that's not NMG, and if you think, oh, NMG's boring, I don't want to do NMG, you don't have to do NMG to speedrun this game. You can do a speedrun that's just like this mode, but with the vanilla game, and it's really fun to do. Zeke is trying a few times to get this Graveyard Ledge clip, and he's not quite getting the inputs out of the spin speed there. Oh, you do have to hold a certain direction to get kicked into the transition the right way, otherwise you just soft lock. That is a hookshot, I think?
Yes.
Alright. So hookshot's cool, it doesn't do anything yet, but it's good to have. It's required, because we swamped the crystal. Mr. Byard is about to go on a bit of a bender here. He is bending reality by using a blue potion on the screen transition. And as you can see, God, he's not even getting a link state. He's doing. He's a bunny in the light world right now. This is pretty funny.
This is fake flute.
Yeah, so let me explain what happened. He used the flute in the dark world. The game doesn't expect you to use the flute in the dark world. So when it puts you on the screen, it puts you in what it thinks is the light world version of the screen, but you're still in the dark world because you never actually did a world transition, which means you don't stop being a bunny. And that means he can get his link state just by buying the. This is like inverted. You buy the item from the bottle merchant, and now you have Super Bunny. Except he's still in the dark world, so when he does a screen transition, it puts him in the dark world. And now he can pull on Thieves Town, and that makes him Link temporarily. He's a very temporary Link. As soon as he exits this, he will be a bunny again. But he can. There's a lot he can do here. He can go inside Thieves Town and die, and that will pick him back to the light world because that's a vanilla mechanic that we normally patch out of Randomizer. But we restore it in glitch modes because he can do things like this.
Yep. So Mr. Byers just gonna do. This is Super Bunny. Just so if you mirror right next to like when you enter the transition. Well, you probably know this about this. It doesn't come up a whole lot in no glitches, but in this game or in glitch modes, it does come up a fair bit amount of times.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a way to like open chests as a bunny.
Yeah, it's why and this mirrored version of it is it's just one way of doing it.
It's also in logic to do this, by the way. The fake flute he did is not in logic, but he is supposed to clip off the mountain using the mirror and walk here, and then do mirror Super Bunny in these two chests. In the Village of Outcasts that he was able to walk to as a bunny could have had the Moon Pearl. The other thing that could have the Moon Pearl is Skull Woods, which is why he's skipping Thieves Town for now, because he knows that's not going to be his Moon Pearl. So I think what he's doing, he's going to do Kakariko Village, and he's going to walk back to his portal. And then he's going to do Skull Woods. I'm not sure where Desert's going to come into play. He might do Desert, and then by then he'll have had a flute, so he can actually flute back to his portal. He doesn't know this yet.
Yeah, so one thing to mention about the fake flute, this is actually part of a whole wide range of glitches known as the Yuzuharu's Battle Adventure, or YBA for short.
There's a lot of YBAs you can do in the underworld that are banned in this mode. Look out for them in no logic. We use them a lot in no logic, but in HMG we're pretty much only using the version where you fake flute in the overworld. There's a very, very niche circumstances where you're doing non-fake flute versions, but they don't really come up that often. Somebody did it in the tournament once and it was pretty funny, but other than that, you don't see it. Is this our first back to escape?
Pretty sure this is, yes.
Well, small key, bombs, and have we seen a map yet?
I don't know, actually.
I was not paying attention to the items in the escape. I know Ether was in the first chest, and 10 bombs were in Zelda's cell. I guess I was paying attention. Now there's like one chest that could have been the map that I didn't look at. It's in Darkcross. Thanks for chat for paying more attention than I am. I think Zeke is now setting up his mirror offset portal because he hasn't been to the pyramid yet. So he'll be finding his hook shot, which doesn't really do anything yet, but it's important to have. I think we have run out of boring locations for the Moon Pearl. This is an officially interesting seed.
Yay! This is the. There's something interesting for once. So, at this point, I think if I want to take a shot at what the Moon Pearl could be, or the Moon Pearl could be, I'm gonna go on record and say maybe it's in Pod.
Yeah, I've been calling Pod ever since we saw the bow, but actually the game keeps giving us stuff. Like that book can lead to it now, because it's in Pyramid Fairy. It can be in Skull Woods, it can be in Turtle Rock. It's so exciting.
Yeah, so it's it definitely feels nice to know that, and Mr. Buyer will actually pick up that that bottle that Zeke didn't get, but that is something that is there. For
The
Byron to
bottle's
pick up.
interesting for him because he has one already. So him picking up that bottle makes me think he wants to do more fake flutes. I don't think he needs to do more fake flutes. They're not even in logic. They can be convenient to get around if you can pull them off. You can save time.
My hunch is that it might just be for more convenience sake, not even just for fake flutes.
I was surprised to see Zeke turn his nose up at the bottle because he actually didn't have any yet and hadn't checked Sick Kid. But he has one now. He got it in the dam. So what I expect Mr. Byer to do now that he has Desert, once he's done Desert, he will flute back to Kakariko and re-enter his portal and walk to Skullwoods and look for the Moon Pearl there and get a dungeon out of the way. If he decides to go for the pendants, you can actually check Ped while he's there and know if he really needs to do Skullwoods or not.
Yeah, Pedestal is fairly wide open.
Yeah, it's looking. I mean, it's not Moon Pearl. Let me tell you that, because Thieves Town and Skullwoods, only the front of Skullwoods can have the Moon Pearl. Thieves Town can't have it at all because the way he opened it was out of logic. But it can be anything else. The only thing it can't be is the hammer if Blind has some hammer locking going on.
Right. So yeah, Bayer will go ahead and take on Lamo here. While Zeke is gonna do some stuff within the desert. More importantly, check Bombo's tablet.
Yeah, so they're converging here, Zeke and Mr. Byer, but I think Mr. Byer has done a few more things. Because he's done Village of Outcasts and Zeke hasn't done that yet. Cane and Burnout doesn't really matter. It can be Spy Cave access later, but we're still missing Hammer. So that's Spy Cave, we won't worry about that until later.
Right, and besides, you would need Hammer for that pod swamp turtle rock.
So Zeke has the hook shot. I expect him to actually do Hera with the Hera pot out of logic because he can, and it doesn't really get any faster than this. And then check Ether Tablet, and then maybe go to Pod. As you can recall, Pod is connected to Spectacle Rock through a diagonal wall. So going to Pod is just a matter of dropping down the mountain a little bit and bombing yourself into a wall.
So Mr. Byer does clear out Lamo. That is the crystal for him. And there's that small key that mentioned before. It's up where the map chest, or the compass chest, whichever the two.
Sorry, I saw Zeke go down and thought he was going to clip to Swamp, and I was wondering why the heck he would clip to Swamp right now. no flippers. Out of logic. He didn't though, he changed his mind. It can be risky to spend the Hera Small in Swamp, because you're not supposed to. You're supposed to spend the Meyer Small instead. There is a diagonal wall in Hera that takes you to Swamp. You're supposed to take a Meyer key from Hera, or via Hera. But people like to skip that part and use the Hera key instead. And as long as you're not locking yourself out of Hera Basement, it's safe to do.
Zeke ends up getting the second crystal off of Muldorm. Straightforward fight is always, with Tempered Sword being accessible early.
Did you see Zeke get a map in Hera?
I don't know, actually.
What did Muldorm drop?
I don't know. I think I don't know if it was just junk or something else.
Yeah, whether it's a map or an item determines whether you can safely spend that key or not. Because if there's an item on Muldorm... Okay, Muldorm dropped a map, which means there's an item in the basement. That means he cannot safely spend the key, unless he has a plan to get it back. And there are ways to get it back, but here we are, we're on Pod. Pod is connected to Spectacle Rock Cave. And when you're in here, you have infinite keys. which is kind of cool. It's a property of caves, and he's going to use it to open one door because you don't really need to do more than that.
Yeah, more
But-
specific.
Yeah, it cleans up the routing a lot to do it this way.
More specifically, Zeke has 255 keys, practically infinite keys, which is what the game uses to draw the to make it so there's no keys that draw the note that doesn't draw, to make sure it doesn't draw the key counter.
Yeah, and it's also really important that he doesn't open chests while in here. If there's a chance he could pick up a pod key, it'll just get eaten by the cave state. The pod big key will especially get eaten, and it's gone forever, and that means you can't open the pod big door. You'd be pretty in trouble if you did that. There's ways around it, but neither of these runners is going to attempt that in this seed.
And as we've mentioned quite a bit, wait until next week. That whole sentence, that whole thing we mentioned, is going to go right out the window because we don't care about the pod smells in that game.
Yeah, also, no logic is run as key sanity. Partly for that reason, because it's just way easier to do dungeons in the wrong dungeon state when you don't have to worry about picking up vanilla keys as much. Zeke has found 2 small keys. 3 small keys. So now he has to do the bowlock side. There's a really cool thing you can do where if there's 2 small keys in the bowlock side, you can skip them because you opened a free door. But, maybe there was an item. Yeah, no, I was wrong. He got 2 items. So he gets to go to the back and skip the bowlock side. That's pretty cool. You can't do this in no glitches, because in no glitches you get locked out. You have no keys. But he has 1, so he gets to go to the back. Mr. Byer has totally defied my expectations and has gone to the mountain, following Zeke, clearing up Hera instead of going back to Skullwoods. I am really surprised at this, but at the same time, he can still go back to Skullwoods. And that is exactly what he's going to do. His portal is still there. He never saved and quit.
Oh yeah, I see it. Didn't he do something to preserve the portal?
He just never saved and quit, and he never went to the Dark World. That's pretty easy. All you have to do is flip to the mountain, flip back here, and it's still there.
Oh yeah, right. The Hera pot or Hera clipping. Right, the clip to Hera, which is just through spin speed, or just a clip through the right side, where you also do the Graveyard Ledge and King's Tomb checks.
Yeah, that spot is very useful. Zeke is in pod, hammer yumping. Mr. Byer has death warped in Skullwoods, and now he's Link.
Now, one side effect of dying when you don't have Aga Kill is that it places you into fake Dark Worlds, which can be easily fixed up by just mirroring. But in this case, Byer did want to die for not only just for the bunny revival, but also to do the rest, to do more checks in Skullwoods.
Okay, are we getting to the point where Moonpearl is in Turtle Rock and East Death Mountain?
Oh,
Is there anything left that we haven't seen? Because we just saw Zeke clear pod, and we just saw Mr. Byer doing, I think, everything that's in Logic and Skull, except maybe the big chest.
Yeah, it could be coming down to that. I don't know.
Oh no! Mr. Byer has a slot 0 altitude. He got a weird bomb. I haven't seen that happen in Skullwoods before. He recognizes that too, so he's just going to go the normal way rather than trying to set it. I've never seen that happen in Skullwoods before. I wonder what set it. Basically, your bomb trajectory will be affected by certain enemies.
It could be a factor of it could just be maybe he may have picked something up while you're in midair, or a fairy had spawned, or something like that. One of those two, or maybe more than that. That's the ones I know of.
All I can think of is that there is maybe a red Bari that normally is fine, but if you kill it with fire and it drops something, you can get screwed. If you split a Bari, it'll just become different sprites. That is a magic powder on pedestal.
Oh.
Put your pet hype on hold. We don't actually know yet if that's required, but the mushroom suddenly became very important. If that turns up, we will not be turning it in right away. I'm not usually a proponent of fake powder, but I think when you know powder's on pedestal, you go for it.
Yeah, it might be possible to bypass a pedestal through by logic. Even though it would be logically a pedestal seed if the mushroom did show up.
I also I'm going to trust Mr. Buyer here that he found both items in Skullwoods and checked Ped because he wanted to not do Moth. And he has, oh my god, he's going to get a link state here. This is kind of crazy to do an HMG, but I appreciate it. So what he's doing is he is clipping to that rupee. And the rupee may not seem important, but you can get Super Bunny off of freestanding items. I hope he doesn't hardlock here. Please don't hardlock, because you have so much progress. Oh no, he's fine. He actually that worked.
Oh, is it possible to hardlock through that?
Yeah, if you teleport up instead of down, you can hardlock. Be careful on this particular teleport. This is one I always take my time with, just because of that. I never explained what teleports are. You can get onto diagonal walls in certain locations that try and kick you out. Being inside collision will kick you out, right? Because it knows you're not supposed to be there, but sometimes it gets the math wrong and kicks you out too far. What he's doing is he's setting up another teleport here to teleport out. Teleport is not the same as jumping, which means that you can maintain your Super Bunny. And when he pulls that tree, he becomes Link. He is using this to get up the mountain. That's really clever because the mountain's actually in logic. And this is a much more efficient way to do the mountain because he can do Hookshot Cave while he's here. When normally you wouldn't be able to do it as a bunny. I really like this play from him.
Yeah, this is smart, and I've abused this particular thing before just because especially in one of the no logics that I did recently, just a friendly. It was one of those cases where Moon Pearl, my reluctancy to do one of the clips that's necessary is. Oh.
He's not doing what I thought he would do. He's doing catfish. Is he gonna go back up with a swim? I think he's gonna do it. Okay, so he's going to use the swim clip. I love this. He gets to jump off the mountain and do catfish and then get back up the mountain using a swim clip. That's, I think, I expect to see him, yeah, he's doing a fake flipper here. 5 arrows, 2 bombs, and then make sure his index is good. Very good. Now he can get into this diagonal wall and do a little half circle motion. That puts you in this clipping state. And then he pops out and he's on the mountain again, which means he gets to... He's going really far. Where's he going?
I love
this is really far to be going. I thought he was going to clip to Hookshot Cave from here. He's going this way. Okay. I don't know why he's doing this and not just going to Hookshot Cave.
I was going to say GT, but that... I was originally going to say GT because he does have Samaria and Fire Rod.
I think what he's actually doing is maybe he's going to Turtle Rock instead. This is the mirror clip spot, or the mirror wrap spot, which is something he can do.
Yeah.
A little risky to do a mirror wrap as a bunny. Yeah, no, he's going to Oakshot Cave. I don't know why he doesn't just clip there, but that's okay. This gets him there as well.
Mr. Byer again subverting our expectations just constantly.
By the way, I've been ignoring Zeke. He is setting up for a fake flute himself, and I think he is starting to chase those in-logic Dark World locations that Mr. Byer has cleared. He's using a little trick where he just bonks himself onto the edge, and that puts him on the transition. And now all he has to do is hit the buttons at the same time, and now he's there.
We end up getting Quake and Half Magic for Mr. Byer.
That's pretty cool. We haven't actually seen the Meyer medallion, which is the only medallion we care about. Mr. Byer is going to show you really soon why we don't care about the TR medallion.
As soon as Mr. Byer gets the Super Bunny correct.
Yeah, he's a bunny again, so he has to do the Super Bunny trick. This is one of the last locations for Moon Pearl. Once he's done this, he can clip into TR and do all of that.
You don't normally, and I've never normally seen Turtle Rock Moon Pearl here.
There it is.
And never mind.
Super Bunny Cave. So it's called Super Bunny Cave for a reason. Even without mirror, you could Super Bunny in here, which means that things like the mids can put that in logic. He can still do TR. I don't know if he will though. If he is going to, he'll probably go in through the back because it's more efficient that way. Yeah, he's going into the back. He's actually using a mirrorless method here. This is going to just do a bunch of screen wraps, basically. Oh, nope. Changes his mind. Maybe he missed the initial input and decided, well, I might as well just do mirror wrap at this point.
Yeah, I don't blame him because the mirror wrap is actually I'm personally a lot more easier to work with because when you do the specific inputs for it, you actually are lined up perfectly to set it up, and this is why it's one of my favorites. That transition.
Yeah. What you do is you're using the mirror to put yourself on the wrong side of the transition without actually triggering it, which allows you to trigger it from the wrong side. And when you do that, it moves you half a screen over. Half a screen over is the entrance of Turtle Rock. If you do it in the Hype Cave area, that actually puts you on Ice Palace screen. So you can use it to get inside ice as well. Mirror wrapping's out of logic, but everyone does it anyway.
It just could be basically just that, yeah, even though it is out of logic, we could just basically say it is within logic, even though it's not. Because everyone does it.
Hammer is interesting. I mean, that hammer's in logic because he can go in through the middle and just do it that way. So he is looking for flippers and ice rod for go mode, and maybe bombos if that comes up.
Yeah, and this all he's really doing is holding up, because holding up is enough to get you back to the top of the maze.
Turtle Rock is a lot easier backwards than forwards. It's so good.
Yeah.
Ganon's Tower is wide open. That is very true. Ganon's Tower in logic with just the Moon Pearl and anything you require for the interior. In this case, the hammer, fire rod, cane. We have the entire thing available. When all you're looking for is flippers and ice rod, you're really just looking in the entire game. The only thing you're not going to be looking inside is swamp and ice. Ice Palace will be in logic with mitts. You can fake flipper in, but without the mitts, the only in logic way to get in is a clip that requires flippers.
Mr. Byer will end up doing Mimic Cave here because you can with what you have here.
Mimic Cave was actually one of the locations that could have had Moon Pearl if the hammer was available, but because the hammer was on Laser Bridge, and we got the Moon Pearl first, it didn't really matter. This seed could have required you to get the hammer from Laser Bridge and then mirror back to here and get the Moon Pearl from Mimic Cave. That would have been fun. The other thing Mr. Byer will be able to do, now that he's done this, is when he finds the big key, he can mirror back to big chest and open that, and not orphan it. It is really easy to orphan the big chest when you are taking a direct route from the back to front.
So Zeke is, with that fire rod being pulled out, looking like maybe wanting to either open up the back or make enough clearance to do.
Zeke just armed a glitch called Bunny Pocket. Anybody who's a fan of Kern might be familiar with his video explaining this glitch. This is actually a minor glitch. It's not in logic because the logic was written before Bunny Pocket was discovered. But it does get him to the back, and if he really wants to kill Moth, he can do that. He still has to death warp because he's still a bunny. I think what he's actually going to do is just get Will Mastered here, and that will also restore his link state. Oh, Mushroom. Hey, Ped's dead. Cool.
Yay. Now it could be logically Ped. If this has an item on it, then it's logically Ped required.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. If Magic Bat, if you're not fake powdering in a sieve where you know powder's on Ped, what are you even doing?
Right. Yeah. You want to at least get the information anyway.
And we have Cane, so we can fake powder. There's none of that Cane on Mushroom. So, haha, no fake powder nonsense. Yeah, you actually do have to light the torches, Zeke. Nice double hit, though. The funny thing about fake flute is they arm spooky, just like a real flute does. So sometimes you get these funky hits in the back of Skullwoods if you got there this way.
Yeah, I believe I may have. I actually don't know. I actually may want to look at the.
Oh,
look at that.
that was so close.
Oh yeah, I may actually want to look into the practice deck just out of curiosity.
Yeah, you can view the spooky altitude value that way if you wanted to. It's really just like you get unusual splash damage on Gyptos in the back of Skull. Nice moth fight though. Does this have an item on it, or is? Oh goodness. Okay, well suddenly Zeke has a huge lead because Pendant Moth had the flippers, and Mr. Byer does not have them. Mr. Byer checked Ped and decided I don't want to do Moth because it's out of logic without the Moon Pearl, and it's a pendant. And I was assuming he just decided there was nothing there because there was no item there, but no, he just didn't want to do it. So getting back there is going to be tough for him.
Yeah, especially considering too that Moon Pearl spot is all the way over in Turtle Rock, or no, not Turtle Rock, Super Bunny.
I wonder if Zeke will just go to blind and pull that. He can. He's going back in.
Or it's for the for what though? Oh, Mr. Byers doing the restricted major glitches method of getting over to
Pod. Oh, does Zeke not? Yeah. Oh, Zeke just came there from Hera. That makes sense. Zeke, Mr. Byers taking a shortcut. Screen wrapping into some out-of-bounds collision that gets you to Spectacle Rock Cave quickly.
Yeah, this gets used in the restricted major glitches category.
Yeah, so the restricted major glitches is basically the speedrun of this mode. If you were playing the vanilla game using this rule set, you're probably running something called All Dungeons, RMG, and it's a really fun category. Mr. Byer hasn't been to Pod yet, but now he can do the whole thing, which is really nice. It's still worrying that he doesn't have these flippers. Zeke is thinking really hard. He might also be looking up a guide to get to East Death Mountain with only the mirror, because that is not something you do very often. And I think he is in a last location situation. He knows that the Moon Pearl is on East Death Mountain somewhere.
Yeah. Currently the best position that I could think of is to fake flute, even if it's out of logic.
Fake flute's so slow though. It made sense for Mr. Byer to do it because he was already checking Bumper Ledge, and the item will give him a link state. And he was able to very efficiently do the entire mountain. But Zeke is on the mountain now, so the fastest way to get to his Moon Pearl is to do what he's about to do, which is called a mirror wrap. Never mind. He's going to do the logical way. I actually really like that he's showing us this because most people don't get to see the logical way to East Death Mountain. What is he doing? He doesn't know which method he's using. Okay, we don't know which method he's using. He has a couple options here. There's 2 ways to use the mirror to get to East Death Mountain.
Yeah, this method of doing it, it's funny because actually I've been having trouble with this particular setup because
okay, here we go. This is the very old school way. This is one of those things I read about as a kid. Get off the mountain using the mirror. This is what he's doing here. He's using a mirror clip to inch his way into the collision here, which is going to let him hop into the void.
And I remember seeing this from an old school video by what was originally part of Cinemassacre.
I don't think you can go this way. Oh, you can. Wow. Those things just don't have collision. Cool. Yeah, the collision in this void is a little weird. The slopes aren't actually slopes. They're just like tiles. So you can see he's wiggling his way around them. Here we go. He knows what he's doing. I actually don't know what he's doing because I haven't done this in like 2 years. But he is clipping in here slightly, and once he holds down out of this mirror portal, it's going to, you'll see. Just hold down. Maybe not. Maybe he has to go in a little farther. You can see, though, why people are using other methods to get here. Like, this is in logic because it's something that has been in the game for a long time and is considered easier. But the other methods are actually easier, in my opinion.
Oh.
Yeah. Isn't that funny?
Oh, wow. Okay, then.
Yeah. That's weird.
I've never actually... So, for the record, I've never actually done this before. Like,
I haven't done it since 2020. I don't even... If somebody asked me how to do it, I wouldn't be able to teach them. I would teach them the other way, because it's just so much easier. But the other way is a mirror wrap, and we don't technically require those, so it's not in logic to do it that way. But the logic doesn't care how you get there, it just cares that you have the mirror. And that means you can get there.
So for the record, the Cinemassacre thing I was talking about was mainly just to get to be a bunny while you're from outside of Death Mountain, not whatever that was.
I don't know if that was known when I was 12, but like the original clip he used to get out of bounds there is very, very old tech. Like, this is like predates Twitch, predates YouTube.
Was it printed in a Nintendo Power magazine or what?
No, there's a website. I don't know. I remember a website. And it was like a really old like HTML, like one of those like Angel Fire kind of websites, you know?
Yeah. I was just gonna say because like it would have been like if it was a Nintendo Power, it would have actually been more well known.
I don't think it was that old. It's not Nintendo Power old, but it's still pretty old.
I mean, yeah, right. I mean, they printed Midas World for crying out loud in Nintendo Power.
Meanwhile, Mr. Byer is going to Helmosaur, which is a check we haven't seen yet. You could... Oh, interesting. Zeke's going in from the front. I'd still give significant advantage to Zeke in this race because he has the flippers. But Mr. Byer is clearing the game so efficiently that he might actually last location that quicker than we expect.
Yeah.
He's already done everything except Meyer. And Swamp and Ice are out of logic. As long as he doesn't find the mitts, he is free to ignore those dungeons if they are, flipper locked. Swamp is always flipper locked, but Ice Palace, 50-50 basically if it's flipper locked or not.
Yeah, just needs Ice Rod to basically just to be actually I guess in a better spot.
I see what you're saying. He needs Ice Rod to not be in one of those dungeons. No, he needs to have the benefit of having go-moded the 2 flipper lock dungeons when Zeke full clears them. Because that would be where he gets an advantage from not having the flippers. There's also, of course, Pendant Thieves Town. I would not be spinning on this platform, Zeke. He's fine where he was, but you can get a quadrant glitch here doing that. It's something we actually do on purpose and no logic, so I'm a little bit more aware of it than usual.
Yeah, although I'm not really as aware of the other quadrant glitches outside of the one that gets commonly used in Desert Palace, but that's it.
Yeah, quadrant glitch is basically if you are in one of those big rooms that has like a divider in the middle that you can't see, and if you pass that divider in a way that the game doesn't update your coordinates, you will go into the wrong room the next time you transition. Okay, Zeke has decided to ignore the back of TR. He got locked out of chain jumps, which means that it is logically mirror clip locked. He's supposed to go in through the middle.
Fire is doing...
He's doing Smith DMD. This is not something you normally do in Randomizer, but I like it. This is going to get him the Smith without the mids. It's not in logic, but it will get him to Kakariko Village. If he wants to do like Village of Outcast stuff he hasn't done yet, this is actually a really good way to get there because it gets you a check on the way. So he's just done a bunch of mirror offset stuff, just like you do with Pyramid Fairy. He's also setting up a fake powder by using up his magic. This clip that he did here is in one of the speedruns, and so that's why he knows how to do it.
Oh, that explains it. Yeah, I probably would. I would never know about it if I never did the run itself. Because I saw Bayer doing, well, Bayer things essentially, and then just it's like, where is he going? And I know there's something to it, but
I love watching him route. He always just pulls off things I never even thought of doing. Like using the link state on Bumper Ledge to get to the top of mountain. It's something I may do in no logic, but I love the Smith or Vanilla. They got a sword.
I actually laughed at that because I was like, okay, all that for the Vanilla sword. Nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice. It's not the worst thing to have, and it's on the way to Magic Bat, which is a big priority for him because I think he wants to turn in that mushroom to get that logical look item, but he doesn't want to do that without, you know, checking this first because, you know, he really does want Ped to be dead. Nice bug net. Cool. So bug net on pedestal. Get your rips in chat.
Even though it was already dead since as soon as we got the mushroom. Technically speaking, it would have been actually if that was Ice Rod, that actually would be more fascinating, just because of the fact that it would be a logical pedestal seed in that case.
It's fun. It's like sticking it to the man. You know, logic says you got to do Ped, and you say no. I've got a glitch up my sleeve.
Yeah, it's much like you if you were able to if it was an Agus, it could Agus you through mitts, and you could just current jump over just to bypass the Aga requirements.
I would like to know also that Mr. Bayer and Zeke have both converged in Thieves Town. With one key difference is that Mr. Bayer has the hammer and Zeke doesn't. The hammer was in Laser Bridge, and Zeke did not go to the back of TR. He went to the front.
So, yeah, that could mean that advantage might swing if the Ice Rod is here.
If the Ice Rod's here, that is pretty bad for Zeke. Because, I mean, Pendant Moth is one thing, but nobody goes back to the Thieves Town Big Chest as anything but their last location.
Mr. Bayer ended up checking the front 4 chests and bailed out.
Okay, so the hammer doesn't matter. It's going to be everyone's last location. Love it. I think maybe Mr. Bayer will do the back of Thieves before the back of Skull, though, just because it's a little bit more dense. Oh, why is he doing it this way? I think he has plans. Okay, so when you do Stumpy before Dig Game, that tells me something about what he intends to do in Misery Mire. With a little bit of clipping, you can go from Mire to Hera to Swamp. And logically, you're usually supposed to use a Mire key to unlock Swamp from the inside out because the small key of Swamp isn't always available in the front. And I think what he's thinking is he will do that and walk out the front of Swamp and do Hive Cave. So even when you don't have the flippers, you can at least do that because you don't need to flood anything to go backwards through this middle of Swamp.
Zeke getting from out of the the small key chest next to the maiden, the objectively better boomerang, the red boomerang.
He left. Did he count items and get his... Is there nothing left in the dungeon?
I think he may have counted it right and said that there wasn't anything left there.
He will also be fake powdering for the same reason Zeke did. Except he doesn't have the hammer, so he has to clip in. Look at that.
Also, over on Mr. Byers' side...
No!
Over on Mr. Byers' side, he actually ended up doing a clip into Myra, and the rain's all glitchy because you're not supposed to enter a Byre from that position.
Also, it's Bombos. Rip. The really clever routing idea he had is dead in the water because he doesn't have the medallion, which is really sad because I wanted to see it. So now we're looking for 2 items for go mode for no mode, but actually each player is looking for 3 items. Zeke is having a little trouble with this. I would be careful here because you can hardlock if you go up. Okay. He really wants to turn in that mushroom though. He doesn't want to have to do ped either. Oh, chat once again helping us out. All 4 items were found in Thieves Town. That means that Hammer is dead. Mr. Byre probably won't be going back there. Because there's only 1 item there.
Oh, okay, so this one is... So, Mr. Byre is heading over to Ice Palace through the mirror wrap. This one, he has got to be a little bit careful. If he's too high, then he's going to hard lock through an infinite scroll.
I'm also concerned. Oh my god, he went so high. You don't need to go that high, Mr. Byre. Come on. Come on.
And all within a swift motion too.
It was good. It was very fast. If you're speedrunning and you don't care about resetting, that's the way to do it. I don't know when he saved and quit last.
Yeah, that's what I was more concerned about, really.
And Zeke did his bat check successfully as well, so he can now safely turn in his mushroom.
Which might be exactly what he's doing.
I'd also like to point out, Mr. Byre is in here out of logic. He is not supposed to be in here without the flippers or the mitts. He's supposed to have one of the 2. So if he's looking for flippers, he's probably not going to find them here. However, there's really nothing stopping Bombos and Ice Rod from being here. And if he finds Bombos here, that's really good for him because it tells him a lot about where flippers can be. He won't have to worry about Swamp anyway, because it's flippers, but he also doesn't have to look inside Mire for them. Unless the mitts turn up. The mitts are kind of annoying. You just hope they don't turn up. Or the mitts are in here. If the mitts are inside ice, then he knows that it's flipper locked. Shield? It's the first shield. I think Zeke might do Swamp Palace out of logic. They're both in dungeons out of logic now. What is this? Yeah, I don't think Zeke knows it's Bombos for Mire. I wonder if he's just assuming it's in logic. I also worry about my medallion in Hera Basement, because that can be a problem too. Mr. Byre found the Ice Rod in Ice Palace.
Yep, I was gonna comment that, but I didn't want to like to stop what you were gonna say. But it's not as funny for me because it's not in Ice Tea Room. just because Ice Rod and Ice Palace are Ice Rod and Ice Tea and Ice Palace.
Yeah, ice baby.
Or as I like to I personally
really-
call it the ice trifecta.
Yeah, I really hope that Zeke has a plan for Hair Basement here, which he can set something up in Hyrule Castle to make this work. But if my Medallion is in Hair Basement, he might actually be locking himself out of it by doing this. Mr. Byer skipped Ice Tea Room? Am I right about that? Did he just gamble that the last item was on Cold Stare?
I think so.
I think that's actually the correct thing to do because while it could have been Bombos, it's really unlikely to be the flippers. Well, he got bailed out anyway. He got all 3 items, but he didn't know that Iced Tea wasn't an item until he did that Cold Stare check.
Right.
He ends
up getting bottle percent out of that, which means, or the last bottle that he needs.
No,
or the last bottle that you can get.
Speaking of bottles, we're turning in that mushroom finally. Zeke had to do this clip twice, by the way, because he doesn't have the hammer. This is how you do Hammerless Swamp. You have to go in there and flood it, and then go back in and go on the other side of the hammer pegs. So you can see that when you clip into Swamp, you will be inside the hammer pegs, and you can choose to go left or right. When you're doing a hammerless, you have to do both, and you have to do it on 2 separate trips. And this is where the small key gets spent in this door here. And Mr. Byer, in the meantime, what do you do when you find an ice rod? You clean up Trinex, because it's free. Doesn't cost anything to do this. It has to be done at some point. Even if it's probably not locking your flippers, I could still lock Bombos. And it's still a crystal.
Yeah, and since Zeke's making the play to go to the back.
Oh no. That's a consequence of doing Hammerless Swamp. Something happens to those staircases when you go in to the diver down area when it's already been flooded. There's nothing you can do about it. You just have to eat the time loss.
Even if you can't even like hold left through there, right?
Normally you would key dash those, but because you're on water, you can't really key dash. So it just there's nothing you can do. We've tried so many different lineups, thinking, well, maybe there's some odd key dash you can do, but I've never been able to find one. If you can find one, I got 100 rupee bounty on that because it's really annoying when it happens.
Yeah. So in the meantime, Mr. Byer does end up finishing up Turtle Rock, or at least killing Trinex. That will be the fifth crystal. Yeah, 5th crystal.
Yeah, he's got 2 dungeons left that are locked behind Bombos. And we know that because Zeke just opened the first chest of Swamp and did not find a small key. That means that Swamp is Mire locked. You're supposed to come in here with a Mire key to open it. There is a 1 in 10 chance that the key can just be there and you can just go in from the front, but Zeke, first of all, Zeke couldn't really do that because he didn't have a hammer, and second, it's 1 in 10 chance. You don't count on it. Alright, where's Mr. Byer? Is this finally the GT play? I've kind of forgotten about Ganon's Tower, but it's been wide open the entire time. Ever since we found Hammer in Laser Bridge, the entire GT has been open to Mr. Byer. Of course you do Spike Cave on the way down because it's there.
Right, yeah, and judging by the fact that he is doing Spike Cave, this is definitely a GT play.
Yeah, so I'm taking it for granted. I say Spike Cave on the way down to GT. You don't usually think of GT as being down, but because of all these screen wraps you can do, you actually do just jump off the mountain a bunch of times to get to the top of the mountain. It's pretty normal in glitch modes. It allows you to do Spike Cave on the way to GT, which is really nice. You almost never see Spike Cave done by itself.
The fun thing about doing this when the screen is wrapped is that the transition.
Ooh.
Oops.
Oh, you got a little bit of a yeet there. That wasn't intentional. That can happen if you, like, in the wrong spot and you hold the diagonal too early. You can try again, though. Softbox are pretty normal. Glitch modes don't feel too bad when it happens.
Yeah, so what I was gonna say was the best thing about doing Spike Cave when you have the screen wraps is when you come out of it, it just the transitions doesn't even happen. It just pops back into play.
Yeah, there's certain caves, dungeons, and multi-entrance caves. Anything that's a connector and entrance rando will fix your camera. Anything that's not a connector and entrance or a dungeon will not fix your camera. It doesn't really matter in Spike Cave, but it just makes it a little less obvious what's actually going on.
So Mr. Buyer found the mess. Not something that didn't want to see.
That's fine, because Mr. Buyer didn't find anything in Ice Palace. He already did everything that's Mint's locked, except Purple Chest. He did Smith and he did Ice Palace. All he has to do now is Hammer Pigs, which he'll do after GT, because you can clip there from the pyramid. And he'll turn in the Purple Chest while he's there. Did we see King's Tomb?
No.
Oh.
I don't think so.
King's Tomb is a Sphere 1 location. I always forget about it. Zeke might be going to Ice Palace. It's actually in logic for him, because he has flippers. And if we're lucky, he'll show us the logical way in. Some people actually like the flipper wrap. The mirror wrap is faster though, so he's more likely to just do that.
Me personally, I'm more a fan of that flipper wrap just because it's honestly safer for me.
You hardlocked doing that once.
Well, yeah, but that was because of a phantom diagonal. That was because of a phantom diagonal.
It's fair. It's fair.
And this was when I was still on.
You were brand new. This was also the mentor tournament. You were brand new.
Plus, it was also while I was still on emulator and not on my FX Pack Super NT setup.
Ah.
And that was when I had an 8-bit dough.
I have an 8-bit dough. I like my 8-bit dough, but you do have to find one that has a good D-pad.
Right. Yeah. Because if it doesn't have a good D-pad, you are subject to phantom diagonals, which is what happened to me.
Yeah. Second try dig. That shovel was in Swamp Palace, so unlikely that Mr. Buyer will be checking that because both of his go mode items are actually locking Swamp Palace, so he gets to do Swamp and go mode, which is kind of nice. Also, Zeke didn't do Ice. I guess Zeke hasn't done Mire yet, so he didn't even know it's combos.
Oh, they both did it. Okay. Chat actually corrected me on that.
They both did what? King's Tomb? Oh,
King's Tomb,
so
yeah.
fast. King's Tomb is... What is Zeke drawing in the dirt here?
Don't know.
Maybe he's just digging around. It really looked like he was making a picture for a second.
If the only picture I would personally make is just the word high. That's it.
I make a straight line left and a straight line right because I'm lazy.
Plus, you have a time limit.
Okay, nice. That would be a huge troll if this wasn't a glitch mode. We're all clearing this place anyway, so we don't even bat an eye at Tile Room. As evidenced by the fact that Mr. Buyer did it, like, as his second check in this dungeon. I mean, not really second. I don't think he's been left yet. Or he's been left, but he hasn't found anything there.
No, I think he stopped after the random room, which I believe that's just the random room rush, and then opted to go to the right.
Random rush is interesting in this mode.
And Buyer will find the objectively worse boomerang, which is the blue boomerang.
You might change your mind when you learn how to hook push with the really advanced tech.
I mean, I am hook pushing now.
Are you using the blue boomerang for the hook push?
The red one. Just because mostly for the Trinex suck push.
See, I don't really quite know this yet. We'll talk about that later, though.
Yeah, once
the blue boom is pretty special, though. You can set some good variables with it. Zeke is going to Ganon's Tower, so this is a little bit of convergence, with the major difference being that Mr. Byers Ice Rod and Zeke has flippers and has already done Swamp. Did Zeke do left side Swamp? I don't think he did left side Swamp, and I don't know if there's an item there or not, because I wasn't paying attention.
I wasn't really paying attention either, so I can't really say I made that judgment call for my own.
Item counting is a little weird in Swamp because normally you look for map compass and big key as the things that you don't need, but actually the small key is also just sitting in Swamp somewhere. So you're a little bit more likely to skip left side Swamp.
Okay, so Ice Trinex fight for Mr. Byer.
Nicely done. And then what is here? You do this thing and you find nothing. You always feel so bad because Ganon's Tower has 27 items in it. And when you open up 27 checks and find nothing, you feel like you've wasted a massive amount of time.
Right. So
feel a little better knowing big keys in tile room. So if you're in go mode doing this, you're gonna last location that.
Chat confirmed that he actually didn't do left side swap.
Okay, so you're thinking maybe there's like an item or two there. That's fine. It's not going to be Bombos because Bombos is locking everything in Swamp except the first chest. And we know it's not Ice Rod because we saw Ice Rod. That means that left side Swamp is actually irrelevant. But Zeke doesn't know that it's not the hammer because, as he demonstrated, you don't need the hammer to do Swamp. And Zeke also doesn't know it's not Ice Rod because he hasn't been to Ice yet. Wow. Ooh. Oh, he got the Cannonball Z and then bonked. Which is fine, he still got it. You can dash through those cannonballs if you know how to read the RNGs. It's pretty tough, though.
I think I've only gotten Cannonball Z once. I don't. At least I think so. I don't know. I haven't bothered doing attempting Cannonball Z in forever.
It's not worth it until you're like really trying to either show off or bring down your time in the speedrun. A randomizer player is just going to quick swap to Cape anyway, and Cape Dash. Like, don't even bother learning it for rando.
Or even more so, Burn a Dash.
Yeah, Cape is a little faster, I think, because you don't have that animation. But they don't have Cape. They have Burna. Oh, Zeke has Cape. Zeke is... I guess he found that in Swamp. Okay, Burna is useful in this room. There's a way to do this room without infants, where you like walk down a little bit to set the movement cycle of the fire bar, and it just works. But if you don't know that setup, that room can be a real nightmare. Did Zeke come here with a big key?
I
think he didn't. I don't think he's even been to the left side yet. The big chest is going to get orphaned for him. At least we know it's nothing.
Oh, there's Bombos. Top of CC.
Cool. Now Mr. Byer can do another thing that's not going to lead to flippers. Oh no. I think Zeke is still in a better position here because he will do Mire. And he'll probably just do Ice. But he still needs to go to Turtle Rock. So, I don't know actually. I'm starting to rethink Zeke's position because he has pretty thoroughly orphaned Turtle Rock. Because the Ice Rod is in a place where you want the hammer, and the hammer is in Laser Bridge.
Right, and that's why I'm more inclined to say that Bayer might have some advantage, despite the fact he hasn't gone back to Skullwoods yet.
Yeah, but also like it's so fast to go to Laser Bridge in glitch modes. It's not like normal seeds where you're like, oh, I'm never going there, or I'm just gonna rush it for the Ice Rod. You just go there. It's so fast, and it's got 4 items in it.
Exactly, yeah, and that's the one thing. And just I'm saying slight because it's
triple.
Because yes, it is faster to go back to Laser Bridge because of what we can do. I'm just wondering. It's just a matter of when does he ever go back to it?
I think he goes back before Mr. Bayer goes to Mothula. Yeah, I don't think. Oh wow, nice. Mr. Bayer has clipped out of the Aga Arena, which in theory saves time by making the back cutscene a little bit faster.
Yes, the Clipe.
The Clipe. He does this like dash up method too. That looks really scary because it looks like he's going to transition off screen. But apparently it's like easier to do that way. It scares me though.
I have never attempted to do it. I've tried attempted to do it, but I never get it. It just within the amount of time I
get it once in a blue moon. It's a 1 frame clip that you basically just go for because it saves time for free. And if you don't make it, it's fine. You just don't make it. This is bad for Zeke. Zeke, you have a red potion. Okay, thank you. You don't want to die in Gauntlet 5. Okay, here's Mr. Bayer going to Hammer Pigs. We saw him clip into the water after Pyramid, and he swam, and then held a direction out of the screen transition, which popped him back in bounds. And because he did that Smith sequence break earlier, he can just pick up the purple chest now for some extra efficiency. One of the things I like about the Smith DMD, Death Mountain Descent, is that you can set up for this really efficient purple chest play coming out of Ganon's Tower.
Yeah, it's nice just because of it, and it does look really nice either way. So only just 50 rupees, but either way, it still looks really nice.
Mr. Byer's doing the thing that makes sense to do, which is a crystal dungeon that you can do, Misery Mire. While he's here, you can also unlock Swamp, and you know that's all you can do because he doesn't have flippers, but it's still something that needs to be done. And once he gets the flippers, he can come in through the front door and do it normally.
Yeah, so I think the best way that could be routed in this case is Bayer finishes up Mire, does the 2 clips necessary, that being the Mire to Hera and Hera's Swamp clips, and unlocks Swamp, and then I think maybe goes up to Skull. I don't know though.
Skull is just out of the way. I mean, if he's gonna do Skull, he's gonna flute to 3, and he's gonna go into the portal, and he's gonna walk to Mothula with his tail between his legs. Because he skipped it earlier when he could have done it. It's something that to him feels like a losing play, which is why I think he's not going to do it anytime soon. Zeke, on the other hand, can just do Laser Bridge. And it's more dense for him. But I don't think he will do that next. I think he will do Mire first because it makes sense to do the Crystal Dungeon that you can definitely do.
Yeah, and in Zeke's case, he's already finished up Swamps, so it makes more sense to just go to Mire for first thing, and then you go to get the hammer, and
I also wonder if Zeke is thinking about that Hero Basement chest. Because it's there, and it has an item in it. Which is a little scary for both runners, because Zeke spent a key that he's supposed to use there in Swamp. And if he wants to do that, he has to come in from Mire and unlock it. Mr. Bayer doesn't have to do that, because assuming he's just going to use a Mire key in Swamp like he's supposed to, and he'll have that key available. But it's still Hair Basement. Nobody likes Hair Basement.
Yeah, even regardless if it's glitch modes or not.
It's also, we know it's not what they need. We know that Zeke needs to go to Laser Bridge, which will give him his hammer, leading him to Ice Palace. We know that Mr. Byer needs to do Pendant Moth. And both of those are pretty unappealing options.
Right. Yeah, because right now we are in no mode, but it's just those particular spots for where they need to be, where the two players need to be, are like you just said, in very unappealing spots.
Alright, Mr. Byer decided to do cutscene chests after finding a big key in the other Firelock chest. I actually disagree with that. We looked at the stats and found that small key is really likely to be in that chest if the big key was in the other one. But it doesn't have to be. I'm also wondering what Zeke is doing right now. Just thinking, maybe.
Might be thinking, yeah.
That's fine. You know what? Like glitch modes, you don't be afraid to just stop and think, because that can lead you to make better decisions.
This is going to be.
What does Zeke have in this area? He's already, I guess, Smith Chain. Zeke's already done Swamp or Skullwoods and Thieves Town.
Okay.
I'm guessing you can do Smith Chain and then Meyer.
This. No, this is just. Oh no, yeah, he's pulling out Mirror here.
This is Smith, yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine. Found the mitts and like, well, I guess I gotta follow those. Somebody else would have gone to. Oh, right. Zeke doesn't have hammer. That's why I didn't do left side of GT. It's actually pretty unlucky for him that the Bombos wasn't hammer locked. Because that made him want to do things that aren't going to lead to the hammer.
Right. Yeah, cut in this case, yeah, because that will only push them farther and farther away from that hammer, which you would need first to finish up ice. And this by getting the hammer, it's more plausible to just go into ice just because you can clear it, and it will lead you directly to ice run from there.
Zeke can also just do hammerless ice, which sucks, but it might be something he does before Laser Bridge. And that's fine, but Laser Bridge is definitely the better option of the two because it's a lot easier to return to Trinex than it is to return to Cold Stare.
Yeah, I personally don't agree. I don't personally like doing the hammer swamp in this case, or hammerless ice here, just because of the fact that it doesn't really get, you're going to be doing is diving it again. You don't want to you want to dive Ice Palace a second time.
Where is he going? He has screen wrapped himself. This is super jump to Meyer. Why would you do this? You have the mitts.
Right.
He's just doing it for fun, I think. Maybe he just wants to show it off.
I'm more inclined to say it's just to show it off. This is just even not for any practical purpose.
Yeah, this is something he may have learned for a speedrun. This is basically what he's done is he's jumped off the mountain 8 times. And every time he jumps off the mountain, it puts him a little bit lower on the map. And then when he does his next transition, it will resync him with the map. So he's using Swamp to correct his camera so that he can actually navigate safely. Yeah, and now he has decided to go back into Swamp to do left side Swamp. Okay, that's what this is. That's fine. I don't know. It sucks, but this is probably one of those, if it's in one of those locations, I've already lost. And look at that, Mr. Byer has found the big key of Tower of Hera in the Tower of Hera big chest. And he's only able to check that because he's not actually in Hera right now. He's in Mire, and he's using the Mire big key to open that.
So, I personally think that I personally don't agree with it. Just because I don't. It's just the fact that it just pushes him a little bit farther away from where he needs to go.
Oh, we know that. He doesn't know that. He doesn't know Laser Bridge is going to have the hammer on it.
Well,
he might think hammer can be here. Hammer can totally be in left side swamp. The logic allows it. Unfortunately, though, he doesn't have a key, so he has to go the long way around. This is probably... I wouldn't have entered swamp through this route. I think I might have chosen to go from Hera instead, because it's a little faster to clip from Hera than to do all this overworld stuff. But that's okay. And Mr. Buyer has done the bare minimum necessary to open up Swamp because he knows that nothing he's looking for can be in there. But he still needed to open those doors, so it made sense for him to go in there at the time. And now he's just gonna go mode Swamp. I think that's what he's doing. He's gonna do Hair Basement and he's gonna go mode Swamp because he can. Oh no, he's not. He doesn't have the flippers. He's just doing Hair Basement.
Yeah, this is, as I was gonna say, yeah, this is just a Hair Basement play.
For some reason, I was adding in my head that he's looking for Bombo, so not flippers. But no, we're looking for flippers.
Yeah, because he already has. We know that the Bombos was already at the top of GT.
He cannot do physically go mode Swamp because he can't do it. This part that Zeke's doing, where he swims in the water, cannot be done. Well, kind of can, but not really. You can't get to Argus. Oh, come on, Zeke. That clip, first of all, it hardly saves any time, if any at all. And if you mess up, you have to reset the room. It's just for swag. You know what? Good for you. Do all the swag on Restream.
Yeah, that's just a bit of bonus points, really. And there's the Mirror Shield. Joy.
The Mirror Shield. God, both runners are gonna last location their go mode. It's so painful.
Yeah.
I disagreed with Mr. Buyer leaving Skullwoods with an item in it. Like I thought he didn't have an item in it when he left because I thought nobody would do that. But I guess he decided he doesn't care about it because it's out of logic and it's dependent.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the one.
Oh, Zeke! Zeke was so close to going to ice.
Oh.
I wonder if he's changed his mind. He's actually going to go do Laser Bridge. I hope he does. That's good for him. And Mr. Byer's going to Skull. Let's go.
Yeah, this was like I believe Zeke's realization that wait, I don't have hammer, so I think he might be under the impression that it might be where he thinks it is.
You say that. Where's he going? This is not Laser Bridge. Okay, good.
Yeah, he realizes that he doesn't have the hammer, so he's just gonna have to look somewhere else. And fortunately for him, he will be on the right path.
Yeah, he could have gone in, and it could have paid off. It would have worked. It just would have been slower. But Mr. Buyer will be reaching go mode first, because he is going to find it very soon. Zeke still has to get Ice Palace and full clear it to get Ice Rod. The other thing is that Mr. Buyer still has to do Swamp, and Zeke still has to do Pod, and Mire, and Turtle Rock. So Mr. Buyer's ahead. Yeah. Because he only has the one dungeon left.
Yeah, it was just a matter of I had a feeling Mr. Buyer had a slight advantage. It's just it was just a case of when was he going to be heading back to Skull, back to Skull anyway. It just happened to be that in this scenario he ended up last location in it. So
not quite.
Well, almost last location.
Yeah, he didn't do Back of Thieves, which has the same status in his mind as Back of Skull. They're both awful. You got to do one of them first, so you pick the right one.
Yeah. So he almost last location. It just in this situation, it just doesn't feel like it was just a matter of when he goes back. So now, yeah, Mr. Buyer has the lead. He's now in go mode.
Yeah. All he has to do is walk to Swamp. He's already opened it, and he can just enter it normally using the flooding and all that. And he's also already done GT climb, so you can just walk to Ganon afterward. So he's almost done with the game.
Yeah, it's just yeah. In this case, yeah, it feels pretty bad, considering that like both Zeke and Mr. Buyer end up either last location or nearly last locationing. More so just nearly last locationing. What their go mode, like what their progression was. Zeke's case, he didn't really necessarily.
Zeke, come on, you have full health, and you're not even fighting Trinex.
Yeah, it's not like he necessarily last location did, quote unquote. It's just that it's just the sequencing that is what
he orphaned the back of this for sure. And I think part of the reason he did that is it looks like he doesn't actually know how to do mirror wrap, or if he did, he wasn't ready to bring it out in a race. So he went into the middle, or he decided that he doesn't want to orphan the big chest. It's hard to tell what's going on here.
I believe it might. It might have been
items.
Maybe counting items there.
I believe he hasn't found the ice rod.
I believe he may have just decided not to orphan the big chest. That's more of his reason, because I believe he knows how to do the mirror wrap.
Okay. I thought he did, because he's done the speed run before.
Yeah, it's more so I think he just doesn't want to orphan the big chest, which is a fair enough call.
He also got the opportunity to do Mimic Cave, in case that was an ice rod. But now we'll just do ice, which is going to be his go mode. He's not going to do ice. Where are you going, Zeke? Ganon's Tower, maybe? There's more Hammerlock stuff there, but it's just empty checks now. Like, it's not making progress the way ice would.
Right. Yeah, and plus, it's also something to consider as well is that Zeke has quite a number of dungeons to clear out.
Yeah, it's, he has Pod, which does have an item on it, I think. And then he has, I guess he never did Mire, which is surprising. Maybe he read Key Logic in GT and knows that Bombos was Mire locked, or not Mire locked, Hammer locked. So maybe he didn't go into Mire looking for Hammer. But if that was the case, he also shouldn't have gone into Swamp.
Fire is actually opting to do what I consider the classic version of Diver Down here with the Samaria.
Yeah, this Samaria version's a little faster if you're in go mode and not opening those chests. It's also the older method, so if you learned it when it was brand new, this might be the one you're more familiar with. I also prefer it. It feels like doing Icebreaker. If you can do Icebreaker, you can do that version of Diver Down, in my opinion. I have trouble with the other version. I find it difficult.
There are optimizations for the right Samaria method instead of the left Samaria method.
If you're doing it in rando without menu buffers and you're opening the chest, I think it's a little faster to do it the right side.
Yeah, that's what I do. Just I don't buffer it, and then I just pick up the Samaria as soon as I'm fully clipped in. I just jump down with it.
And Mr. Buyer is attempting to use poke dash strats on Argus, which doesn't quite zero cycle, but it's still pretty quick. But he's about to be done. He just has to walk to Ganon and finish the game.
Yeah, this is we've seen a number of different things in this race, which I'm happy about, because it just can show a lot about what you may expect. It's on the hybrid major collector side when we come into next week when the No Logic tournament starts up.
And No Logic is very different. There's a lot more dungeon to dungeon traversal than there is in this mode. This mode restricts you to clipping through diagonal walls in the underworld, whereas No Logic lets you do things in doorways that corrupt transitions and move between rooms that normally aren't connected. I guess we'll take this opportunity to talk about No Logic a little bit as Mr. Byer cleans up Ganon, because this Ganon fight's going to be, frankly, quite boring on 19 hearts. Mr. Byer's on 19 hearts. That's crazy.
19 hearts red mail, 19 hearts red mail, gold star, silver. Yeah, this is
this is red. Yeah, this is pretty free. And so, No Logic tournament starts next week. It opens. The application's open until Friday, and then we start the tournament on pretty much on Sunday. We're going to be making brackets on Saturday, and people can schedule races as early as Saturday if they want. It's going to be a double elimination format and randomly seeded, which means we don't have to worry about qualifiers. Everybody who plays No Logic is pretty good at the game, so we just pair people randomly. We're also playing a special mode that puts 2 ice rods and 2 fire rods into the pool. What that does is it increases the chance that the seed is actually beatable, because Rod on Drynex can just break your seed. But it also puts the runners in go mode a little bit earlier on average, forcing them to, or at least giving them the opportunity to beat the game with lower equipment. So you don't have as much of this 19 heart red mail stuff. You have people finishing games without hammers and without moon pearls. And put your GG's in chat for Mr. Byer, who has finished this very long seed.
Yep.
In first place.
Yeah, this will be an official race time of 1:46:56. Yeah. And just a little bit after that, Zeke opted to decide that that's enough. I'm going to forfeit out.
That's fair. He's not in go mode yet, and he's got 4 dungeons. I can't blame you. The seed was pretty mean to him in particular. Just because of the way he routed it. It took him away from Hammer for such a long time. But he did show us how to do Hammerless Swamp, which I'm really happy about.
Yeah, it's just a case. There's a lot of things that happen in that one.
Yeah.
So
anyway, Zeke has joined us. GG.
GG, thank you.
GG.
Thanks for showing us Hammerless Swamp. That was pretty cool to see.
I saw an opportunity and I had to take it.
You're on the restream.
I mean, I read the sign.
Read the sign. The sign said do Hammerless Swamp. Hammerless Swamp, what would Krithel do? He won the tournament on that. No, he didn't. He won the tournament on Hammerless Pod, let's be honest.
I can't do that.
Yeah, no, I don't expect anybody
a lot of
to
people
do.
can do that.
Yeah, that was pretty unique. But yeah, Mr. Byer will be joining us as well shortly. He did a lot of really cool routing stuff. I would recommend watching this back just to get ideas. I always get ideas when I'm watching Mr. Byer play.
yeah,
That was a neat moon pearl today.
Yeah, Super Bunny Cave with only the mirror is always one that trips people up because the logical way to get there, which I actually really glad you showed me because I always forget how to do it, is to mirror clip, but there's a whole bunch of other ways you can do it too. And Mr. Byer showed us some pretty creative routing using link state to get up there. Speaking of which, GG.
GG's.
GG.
GG Zeke.
GG Dyer. So I have one important question. I think you guys know what's about to be asked.
Does it involve
It involves a certain blue fire rod.
blue fire rod? Well, what's the rule of blue fire, Zeke Highwind?
Is it nice?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was probably my next stop after pod, so...
Yeah, it was kind of weird with the way you did TR. Unfortunately, locked the hammer behind a bit of an orphaned laser bridge. And because the ice rod was in a dungeon you want the hammer for, it took you a while to get back there. Understandably so.
What's more, how do you route back up to Turtle Rock at that point?
You just do it. I don't know. That's a problem, right? You just do it.
Well, it helps that the pearl's there, so if you want, you could go to TR afterward.
Yeah, I forgot what you did. You went in the front and then decided to leave afterward?
I went in the front. I went in the front as if it were vanilla, clipping up the mountain to open the door. And then when I was locked out of keys, I was like, okay, I'd rather do catfish right now and see what I can find along the way.
I would recommend watching back Mr. Byer because he showed that there's a method to get back up the mountain from catfish. It's a swim clip. I don't know if you've learned those yet, but they're actually pretty easy to do.
Oh, no, I've not.
Yeah, I learned that one from Pam. And that's actually really nice, because Catfish is a pretty terrible spot to orphan otherwise with Pearless.
I showed the logical way to get to that Moon Pearl buyer.
Yeah, I mean... Oh, you mean like with the mirror app?
Yeah, the mirror clip off the bridge.
Oh, I love that mirror clip.
It's great. You don't get to see it enough.
But I'm glad the Pearl was in Super Bunny, because I probably still would have dipped Pearl Rock, but I probably would have done middle. Well, I have to do middle. And I don't know if you can go to the back from there.
Not really. There's something you can do called a mirror jump, but then you're going to be locked out because you'll be a bunny, and you have to bomb a wall. You can't bomb a wall as a bunny.
It's unfortunate.
But you can still get to the back because with the equipment you had, there's no possible key layout where you'll be locked out of the back if you have the fire rod and cane.
I did like that I got to pull Bunny Pocket out today.
Oh yeah. That was actually pretty fun to see. You don't see it quite often.
Did you clear Agazik?
No,
Wait, where'd you use Bunny Pocket?
back Skullwoods.
Oh, I guess...
It was on red mail at the time. I didn't want a death warp on a red heart 11.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point.
So I just I made use of the Wall Masters to link state me, and then Bunny Pocketed open the back. I think the thing I regret the most was going, oh, Hammer could be in left side swamp when I was like, no, it can't. The Bombos is 3 key locked and I only have 2 keys.
Oh, interesting.
I was wondering if you were reading into key logic, but then I questioned because you decided to do left side swamp, which is Bombos locked, but I guess the ice rod could have been there.
I realized about the time I hit the big chest going in, and I was like, wait a second. And then I was like,
that's okay.
well, I'm halfway here. If Ice Rod is here, this is good.
Yeah,
your early flipper.
Your early flipper spine is actually pretty promising for you. But unfortunately, because it took you so long to get to the other stuff, it ended up evening out with Mr. Buyer and you both doing all the locations. Mr. Buyer finished on 19 hearts, by the way.
I think it was literally just stack of Skullwoods and stack of Thievestown left for me.
That's what I thought too. I wasn't really counting, but I was like, I can't think of anything besides Swamp.
I felt like I did a really good job not isolating anything.
Yeah, your routing definitely shines in seeds that require full clearing because you're really good at efficiently full clearing.
I was hoping for a more traditional weird Moon Pearl for us. You know, Moon Pearl in Pod or Moon Pearl in a Village. You know, traditional stuff.
We are getting spoiled. Come on, Super Bunny Kate, Moon Pearl's not good enough for you.
Yeah, Super Bunny's pretty nice.
It's pretty good, especially with only mirror. Like Super Bunny with only mirror is pretty.
That's a
non-traditional
unusual. Moon Pearl for us, though.
Oh, you want traditional?
The speed gaming Moon Pearl is traditional speed gaming daily Moon Pearl is Link's House.
or Eastern Palace. Yeah, that's true.
I was really hoping that Ether was going to open Mire. I will admit.
Clearly, we just need to get rid of the Moon Pearl altogether.
Get rid of the Moon Pearl. There's a mode for that. It's called No Moon Pearl, and the only person who plays it is Mr. Buyer.
I was gonna say that sounds like a mode that Mr. Buyer would enjoy and no one else.
Every once in a while, I'll put it on the async list just for him to play, and then I'll watch him play it. Anyway, no logic tournaments coming up. I know, Zeke, you're not really a big fan of no logic, but you're still welcome to join us in the commentary booth. How about you, Mr. Buyer? Are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, stay tuned for that. That's also going to be on Speed Gaming. Also on Speed Gaming, we have daily races coming up with Anti-Rosia. I'm not even going to attempt to explain what that is. I don't know what it is. Just watch it. It'll explain itself. That's going to be on Wednesday. I actually skipped tomorrow's cross keys as well. Casual boots and blitz mode following for the rest of the week. And keep an eye on Speed Gaming's schedule as well for other Link to the Past content and non-Link to the Past content.
I believe the best explanation I can give of Antivrosia is think of Ambrosia, take out everything you know about Ambrosia, and apply all of the other main tournament modes at the same time.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
I will not be joining that. Have fun.
I don't plan on joining that, but that's the best I can explain it.
All right.
I mean,
Any words left before we call this one?
Not really for me.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Zeke Highwind and Mr. Byer, and thanks for Professor Render and Akuhesh for supporting this stream as well as commentator and tracker and restreamer.
Yes.
Thank you, Malmo. Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Aku.
Good night,
And
everybody.
GG Byer.
Take it easy, everybody.
GG's all.